ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
The LouieTeeNetwork is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Thursday Night Football Overtime. Wow. What a game. NFC South family business. If these two teams said they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's some good old-fashioned NFC South family business. And that's South with an F, not a TH. Atlanta Falcons come from 14 down in the fourth to sting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 29-28. Bucs have now lost 3 out of their last 4, 2 straight at home from 2 500 South teams. This is not a team right now that looks like a playoff caliber football team. Playoff teams don't do what the Bucs just did 2 weeks in a row. So, a lot to unpack tonight. This is to my guy, Ree. I don't know if he's watching tonight or not, but if he comes back and watches this at a later date and time, I'm going to apologize in advance. He's a massive Buccaneers fan. You guys know Ree. He's been on the program so many times, super chatting. He's a mod. I'm sorry. Let me apologize in advance. I put the hex on your boys like nobody's business tonight. Tampa Bay was on some whole shit tonight. And I said, oh, I'm not going to get my win? Then you ain't getting one neither. I was on my Petty Pendergrass shit tonight. I put the nastiest hex on those. You are getting thinner. Thinner. You will lose to a game winner. Winner. I put the hex on their ass. I'm going to tell you why tonight. But let's start with Atlanta. What a gutsy performance by Kirk Cousins. We left him for dead. I've been telling people since last year. I said, I think Kirk can still play. Last year was rough because it was his first year back from the ACL. And I said, or I think it was the Achilles, whatever it was, Achilles, ACL. It was major surgery. And I said, he's not going to be himself. But this year, I said Kirk is going to be better. Now, it wasn't clean the first couple of starts. You know, he wasn't getting any reps. It was all Michael Penix. But the Jets game, he wasn't terrible. He wasn't great. But he played well enough for them to win in that game. Seattle's a really good defense. He struggled last week. It seems like he played some of his best games, too, in a Falcons uniform against these Buccaneers. He was outstanding last year in the 2 games. We talked about this on the skill game earlier today, that they gave us a thriller last year, if you remember, an overtime thriller in Atlanta where Kirk Cousins threw for over 500 yards in the game-winning touchdown in overtime to Kadero Hodge. So we talked about that earlier. And here's Kirk again, pulling the rabbit out of his hat. And I was going to give Kirk some love, and then I was going to shit on him at the same time, because some of those plays, the forced fumble on that last possession, I'm like, that's some Kirk Cousins shit, right? You're standing in there for 15 seconds like no one's going to hit you. You're not protecting the football. That's some shit Kirk does with the game on the line. Luckily enough for him, somehow they, ruled simultaneous possession on the recovery, and so Atlanta got the ball back. And then I thought that was a really bad throw to Mooney up the seam on, I think it was at that point, 2nd and 28, which brought up 3rd and 28. But then just when I thought it couldn't get, any worse, he goes and he totally redeems himself. Just when I didn't think you could be any dumber. Then you go and do this and totally redeem yourself. That throw to Sills, who was falling down on that play. Huge. And good for David Sills, the fifth, man, because he had to drop down the sidelines. I don't think he would have scored. I think he would have got hit there by Antoine Winfield, but he would have been down inside the 5-yard line. But that was a clear, blatant drop. And it was good to see him rebound from that. That's a massive catch on the sidelines. That's a big-time throw from Kirk Cousins. And they hurt their head at the end. Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts. What more can I say? If you're a Commanders fan, look, we're not going to get a chance to get them. And I don't know if they're even interested. But these are the types of performances that take away the opportunity for him to even hit the free agent market. Because it doesn't cost a lot to franchise tag a tight end. We know this. We've seen tight ends franchise tagged numerous times. Jonnu Smith was just franchise tagged 2 years ago. Like, it doesn't cost a lot to franchise tag a tight end. So if they want Kyle Pitts back, he'll be back in Atlanta. I think they're going to want him back after the season's over. I was hoping he would be somewhat disappointing this year on some Evan Ingram shit, and they would say, you know what, let him go. And then he would blow up in his next destination, and I was hoping that could be Washington. God, Kyle Pitts, he looked like everything we thought he was in his rookie season when he went for over 1,000. He looked like that guy coming out of Florida tonight. I swear he plays better with Kirk Cousins at quarterback, but man, he was unstoppable tonight. And I think it really benefited him that Tampa plays a lot of zone coverage. So that allowed him to roam free. But even when he got man, he destroyed that too. But a lot of his catches tonight came in zone coverage. And he was just fantastic, man. He went up, he attacked the football. A hat trick for Kyle Pitts Sr. tonight. 3 touchdown grabs. The man had 1 touchdown the entire season, 3 of them tonight, a career high for him. And he made every big play for this Falcons team. And then every play that he didn't make, it seemed like Bijan Robinson was making. And shout out to the chat earlier. I want to say it was my guy Skins Win. Shout out to my guy TA who said, hey, man, I like Bijan on the rush yards. And I'm like, nah, Tampa stops the run. No, I wouldn't do that. Now, it didn't matter because Sleeper was giving out 2 deals, and you can't put them together. So you had to pick one or the other. We picked Kyle Pitts. He murdered that. I think his number was 59.5. Kyle Pitts had like damn near 200 yards receiving in the game. So, we made out like bandits anyway. But I did want to go initially Bijan Robinson combined rush receiving yards, and I talked myself out of it. And obviously, he was fantastic tonight. My goodness. They had no answers from him catching the ball out of the backfield, just like in week 1 when he went 100 yards in that game. They had no answers for him again tonight. But not only was he catching the ball tonight, he also was running it, something he wasn't able to do in the week 1 contest. This Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense has fallen off. The offense has fallen off. We'll talk more about them in a second, but let's give some credit to some of the unsung heroes of the Atlanta Falcons team. I talked about Sills had to drop, came back, made some big plays in this game. How about Nuzul, the offensive lineman, number 64, who went in there and dug out that fumble by Mooney that would have effectively ended the game. They were down 8 at that point. I don't think they would have been able to, get the stop they needed, get the ball back and go back down the field. I think we were at the 4-minute mark at that point. So you were really running out of time. And so that was such a huge recovery of that fumble by Nuzul there. It's a play that you probably won't talk about a ton, but that's a massive play in that game. Also, you have to give some credit to D. Alford for the interception. That was the game-changing play, right? The score at that point is 28-20. The Falcons don't seem like they can stop the Bucs at this point. Baker's starting to deal. Mike Evans was wide open on that play. So if he just layers it over him, it's a completion, and the Bucs are on the move yet again. And he goes up, skies for that interception, brings it down, and it just changed everything in this football game. Also, the Falcons pass rush. I thought it was tremendous all night, and I know they had a million penalties. We're going to talk about that here in a second. But that pass rush was harassing Baker Mayfield all night long. All night long, all night, all night long, all night, all night. I think he got sacked 5 times tonight, if I'm not mistaken. At one point, I know it was 4. I think they got the 5th one on that final possession to force the punt that allowed them to go down and get the game-winning field goal. So, and they had about another 2 or 3 sacks that were negated via penalty because A.J. Terrell couldn't keep his hands to himself. So this was a really dominant performance by that Falcons front. And so got to give them a ton of credit for really harassing Baker Mayfield, making him uncomfortable, and making things difficult on the Buccaneers offense when they had the football tonight. Zane Gonzalez, as a former commander, we had some good times. We had some solid times. And I got no animosity toward Zane Gonzalez. Happy that he banged home the game winner. It was just like old times. He barely squeezed it inside that left upright. That's his move, right? Luckily, he didn't hit it this time because he loves to kiss off that left upright. It's amazing. He loves to kick from the left hash, and he barely squeezes that bitch inside the left upright every time. He made 2 field goals in this game, if I'm not mistaken. No, 1, because they jerked us on the first one. And he barely squeezed it in on the first one that he made. So shout out to Zane Gonzalez for getting it done. And Raheem Morris, I got to give him some love. I got to give Raheem some credit. He didn't mangle the clock tonight. He managed it well. All 3 of his timeouts, he used them wisely. He was talking to the camera at the very end after they won. There was a lot of pressure on him. There was a statement released earlier today, and an article that came out that basically said Arthur Blank said that after the season, they're going to assess everything, meaning Raheem could be moved on from after just a short 2-year stay in Atlanta. So there's pressure on Raheem Morris. Like, he's feeling it. And this was a big win. This was a massive win for him. So you could kind of feel that energy at the end of the game. But this is still a very undisciplined Falcons football team. How many penalties did they have tonight? At one point it was 16, right? At one point it was 16. I think when the Jake Matthews penalty hit for the holding on the final possession to make it 2nd and 28, I think that made it 16 penalties. I gotta look because I'm actually not only curious about the actual amount, I'm curious about the yardage that's attached to those penalties. I don't think the yardage was as bad, but it's just, I mean, you just don't see this amount of penalties anymore. Like that's an incredible amount of penalties that they had tonight. 19 penalties for 125 yards. So the yardage wasn't bad because, like I said, a lot of them were nickel and dimers, holding penalties, 5-yard legal contact penalties. There weren't any of the 40-yard pass interference penalties down the field that get you. But 19 penalties is wild. I mean, what? That is amazing stuff and to still win. I wonder if that's an NFL record for the most penalties in a game by a winning team. It's got to be. I can't imagine somebody won a game in the NFL with 20 penalties. I can't imagine that being the case, which speaks to the ineptitude of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to allow this Falcons team to beat them with 19 penalties and come back and overcome a 2nd and 28. And you could debate whether or not Todd Bowles should have declined that penalty and made it 3rd and 18 instead of giving them 3 downs to get 28 yards. They would have had 2 downs to get 18. Well, guess what? They had 2 downs to get 28 and they still did it. So I don't think that's the reason they lost this game. They did give up a big conversion there, and then you can't do that. But they had ample opportunities to put this game away to Tampa Bay. And so, much credit given to the Atlanta Falcons for fighting. This was a 4-9 team playing for nothing but pride and being a spoiler at this point. And that's exactly what they did tonight. They put the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a tough spot. And if the really doesn't matter now, whatever happens, really all the Carolina Panthers have to do now is take care of business. They've got a tough one against Seattle later on in the season. But they got 2 games against this Buccaneers team, and they got the Saints this week, a rematch with the Saints. If they can beat the Saints, they'll take sole possession of first place. And then all you got to do is split that series with Tampa Bay, and you're in a really good spot. Now, again, if Tampa wins out, they split and Tampa wins all the rest of their other games, the other 3 games that exist on the schedule, I think Tampa would still win the division because of tiebreakers, I would assume, but because they were ahead with the tiebreaker tonight. So if everything stays the same and they split the season series, I would assume that Tampa Bay would still win the season series or the tiebreakers. But Carolina's in the driver's seat now because they control the outcome of their season by just taking care of business at this point. And they have a great opportunity to go on the road, beat New Orleans, take sole possession of first place. Let's see if they're about that life, because you know what? I actually want to see Carolina in the postseason. I like what they're building over there. Tampa's a fun team, but they screwed me tonight. So I got nothing but I got that energy for them the rest of the way because they did me dirty tonight. I mean, just some hoe shit. Real use a hoe. Ho, use a hoe. Ho, use a hoe. I swear that use a hoe. Ho! They did some real hoe shit to me tonight. And I don't even get down like that, man. I don't even get down like that. So, speaking of Tampa, big win for Atlanta. Big win for Raheem Morris. And we'll see if this alters the trajectory of their season. What this does for Kirk Cousins' life as a starter in this league. This may give him life again, because when you play this well on a national stage, who did we see do this last year, or was it this year? I'm trying to think. It was a quarterback that we saw play like this. Joe Flacco. That's who it was. Joe Flacco, right? We saw Joe Flacco play at a really high level this season on a national stage. And I think that's going to buy Joe Flacco another year of service in this league if he wants to stick around. And I think watching Kirk do what he did tonight, I think Kirk now has intrigued some teams around the league. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see a team that needs a quarterback, a veteran quarterback, come calling. You know what I mean? Next year in the offseason. If I'm Indianapolis, I know Daniel Jones played really well for you. You got a decision to make. I wouldn't spend the money on Daniel Jones personally, but they may decide to go that route. But Kirk Cousins would be perfect for Indianapolis. But that's just me. We'll see what they decide to do. But Kirk's going to be interesting. But let's get to Tampa. Dropping to 7-7, golden opportunity to, take sole possession of first place, put some pressure on Carolina on Sunday to win on the road at New Orleans. Instead, they fall a half game back of Carolina, who now is in first place. And a lot of things fundamentally wrong for the Buccaneers tonight for me. Again, I struggle with losing this game, and your opposition had 19 penalties. They being Atlanta, gave Tampa Bay every opportunity to win this game, and Tampa Bay simply could not get it done. And I honestly felt like there were several mistakes that I thought Tampa Bay made. One, I didn't think they got their running backs involved enough in this game. So I told you I was in my feelings. I was pissed off. One of the reasons was Rachaad White He rips off a 20-yard run in the first quarter, mind you. He never touches the ball again from a running back standpoint. Never touches it again. He's in there when they get in their little cute wildcat shit and they got Bucky keeping it and running with it. That's nice, fine, and dandy. But Rachaad White ripped off a 20-yard run and he doesn't touch the ball again the rest of the game as a running back? Make it make sense, right? I thought they got too pass happy, did Tampa Bay. Even when they were up, I'm not sure if they possessed the ball up 28-14. I think as soon as they got that lead, Atlanta went down and scored a touchdown and didn't get the 2. But I didn't think they used the backs enough. They didn't use Bucky Irving enough, I don't think, in this game as a receiver. I hated the fact that and this is when I knew I might have to hex these bitches tonight. Is Louie T gonna have to hex a bitch? I said that to myself early. Like, did they just take Bucky Irvin out of the game? Not once, not twice, but 3 times inside the 10-yard line to put Sean mother effing Tucker in the game to be a damn touchdown merchant? Oh, you really want to piss me off tonight. They got down to the 1-yard line. I was like, oh, hell yeah. Down to the 1-yard line. They took away the touchdown from Jalen McMillan. Oh, hell yeah. I'm like, oh, Bucky finna get this touchdown. Bring in Sean goddamn Tucker. Okay, I got something for your ass. Then they got down there again, and they did it again. I said, oh, okay, Louie T's going to have to hex a bitch tonight. Okay, no worries. I got you. No worries. So they took Bucky out of the game, and they got lucky because the Falcons couldn't get out of their own way. They then had a stop defensively. And for some reason, I always cringe when guys on the edge think they're going to block some shit. Look, just be happy you got to stop. Why are you trying to jump the snap and block a field goal? Let that shit go, bro. Like, the only time I'm going to try to jump some shit is if it's like 4th and 9, 4th and 11. Because if I get all sides, they're not going to go for it still. They're just going to keep the points on the scoreboard. But if it's 4th and 7, 4th and 6, 4th and 5 or 4, especially not 4th and 5, 4th and 4, where they automatically get the first down. But I don't even want to tempt them to bring their offense back on the field in a 4th and 1, 4th and 2 situation. I'm not trying to block shit. I'm not jumping the snap count. None of that bullshit. Not running into the kicker. Nothing that's going to give them a first down. Let them get their 3 goddamn points. No. McCullough, and he got hurt too. It's not McCullough. McCullum. Zion McCullum jumped the offsides and gave them 4 points in a game you ended up losing by 1. Like Tampa Bay, and again, I said, oh, I'm really gonna have to smack them tonight with this hex because we had 2 field goals by Zane Gonzalez. That would have been 1, and then he kicked the game winner. Now, again, obviously, the circumstances of the game change. If they don't score the touchdown, then they kick a field goal. But the game would have gone differently. I think he would have attempted another field goal at some point. So I'm not tripping about how the game went later on, any of that. That was supposed to be the first of 2 field goals on the scoreboard. And them jumping all sides took that field goal off the board. And then they ultimately scored a touchdown after that. Tampa Bay did not want to win this game. And Atlanta was trying to give it to them. Sills had that drop. They got no points out of that possession. None after he dropped that football. They had to settle for a field goal. You said, no, it's the holiday season, bro. Man, go ahead and get the touchdown, man. Don't worry about it. It's on me. Go ahead and get the touchdown. No. Take the field goal off the board. Go ahead and get the touchdown. Don't worry about it. It's on me. Charge it to my account. I got you. I was flabbergasted at the inability for them to stop the run tonight. How many times are you going to let Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson beat you? At what point do you start trying to heat up Kirk Cousins? Because clearly sitting back in zone coverage and just waiting for him to pick you apart ain't working. You're not getting any pressure on him. So at what point do you start dialing up some shit to try to get to him, to make him uncomfortable, rattle his cage a little bit? I mean, they did it on the 2-point conversion. They did it towards the end of the game. Todd Bowles said, F this shit, and he started coming after him. But then in the two most important snaps of the game, 3rd and 28 and 4th and 14, he doesn't blitz. And they get cooked again. So then I thought at that point, Bowles needed to be a little bit more aggressive. And again, at this point, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble. But at this point, you needed to use your timeouts, defense at the end, to try to get the ball back. Like after they ran that ball with Bijan, I would have taken a timeout to see if, and look, it didn't matter. If you took the timeout, they were going to run it again and then line up and spike it. And if you called it closer to 7 seconds where the clock couldn't run out, they were going to throw it over somebody's head just to run off those last few seconds and then kick the field goal. So you were kind of screwed in that situation. Once they got, what really hurt them at the end was Vita Vea's big ass couldn't get down there in enough time to get off the field after the big catch to David Sills, which was crazy because the David Sills catch, they were tussling for the ball out of bounds. It took them a whole long time, and his ass still ain't get onside. He still was offsides and didn't get off the field. Like, goddamn, Vita, get your big ass off the field or get on sides. Pick a struggle. That hurt them because they spiked the ball. That would have made it 2nd down. Then you could have called both of your timeouts. And that would have ensured that you would have at least gotten the football back with a chance, right? With a chance. Assuming that they don't get the 1st down, which it would have been 2nd and 10. Remember, the 5-yard penalty made it 1st and 5. Then they threw the little smoke screen to Mooney. That gave them the 1st down. That essentially gave them the walk-off privilege. Either we're going to win this game with a kick or we're going to lose this game with a kick. But we get to walk it off. If you force the spike with your 2 timeouts, which that's another thing that Todd Bowles, I thought they effed up, which you can't burn a timeout there on offense there. Now, look, you got to get the shit right, because if you get that 1st down on that 3rd down, the game's over. The game's over. So I understand getting the timeout there. You don't take a penalty there. You don't want to rush and don't get, the best playoff, because, again, if you get the right play call and you execute, you win. But you would prefer not to use the timeout there, because if they had all 3 of their timeouts, they could have gotten the ball back with about 15 seconds and 1 timeout. And again, with these new kickoff rules, if that ball gets kicked in the field, into the end zone, you get it at 35, you 1 completion, bang a timeout from being able to get your field goal kicker. Hasn't missed a 50-yard field goal all year. He's 10 of 10 from 50 yards plus is Chase McLaughlin. So again, it's little things like that. It's those little attention to detail things that get you beat in this league. Another thing that lost them the game, Bake had Abuka. Atlanta came with the blitz. He had one-on-one. Abuka wins on a deep over route, and Baker slightly behind him on that 2nd down throw. That was ball game right there. That was ball game. Bake was off. Bake took some bad sacks tonight. Bad sacks tonight. He couldn't get away, though, and you got to credit, for as slippery as Baker is, you got to credit Atlanta's defensive front. And I talked about that already. They really did a great job of keeping up their rush lane integrity and not letting Bake get away. And he missed that throw. That's the one he's going to lose sleep over tonight. Because if he hits that throw, even with the pick that he threw, even with some of the other misses, if he hits the throw to Ibuka on that 2nd and 10, I think it was like 2nd and 13 after they ran Bucky Irvin and got stopped. Big play by Daniel Onyemata to stop him for like a 3-4 yard loss. If he hits Ibuka there, game's over. Game's over. Instead, it's slightly behind him, and now you're in 3rd and 14. I don't know how you don't go to Mike Evans. They had no answers for 13. I don't know. Even if you just throw it up there, there's a chance he might get pass interference with. You got one-on-one on both sides. When you threw it to Ibuka, Mike had one-on-one. The safety was shading over, but that safety was so far over the top. You hit him with that back shoulder and let Mike go up and get it. I like my chances. Again, Ibuka was open, though. So they had their opportunities. They really pissed this game away, did Tampa Bay. They really, truly did. And I thought they would be a little bit more creative than run, pass, right? Like after they got the first down, I would have loved to have seen, because Atlanta was selling out on the run, clearly. And you saw the end result, Daniel Onyemata in the backfield for a 3-4 yard loss, tackle for loss. I thought that was a perfect opportunity for a boot. Slip the tight end. Nobody's checking for, Durham, the tight end, because Cade Otton was out. No one's checking for 87. Slip him across the formation into the flats on a bootleg, dump it to him, and, that's ball game right there. If it's not there, Bate can roll out. You lost 4 yards any goddamn way. Bate can roll out, run, slide, stay in bounds. If you lose 2-3 yards, so be it. But you keep the clock running. You force them to use a timeout, all that good stuff. But they just went with the run again, and they shut it down. And then that really put them in a position where they needed to throw twice. And they struck out. And it was at that point, it was worth it to go for the jugular vein. I don't have any regrets there about them throwing the football. The move wasn't to just try and get it to the 2-minute warning and then try and throw it on 3rd down. No, give yourself 2 shots to get the first down, because if you get the first down, the game's over. So I don't have any issues with that. I just thought first down was the down to try and really pierce them, to really get them. And they didn't get them. So opportunities were there, man. Opportunities were there. They really hurt themselves tonight. They really hurt themselves. And the inability to take away guys that were killing you is just tough for me to stomach. They talked to Todd Bowles at halftime, and he's like, with Pitts, who was already digging in their ass in the first half, no pause. He's like, we got to play better zone coverage. Okay, guy. And if we play a man, we got to double him. That was his answer. Okay. Okay, guy. Yeah, sure. Yeah, Evans, I thought he got Evans hurt again. I see somebody was like, Bate be throwing hospital balls. He definitely be putting footballs in a position where he is not giving an F about your well-being, for sure. That wasn't really a hospital ball, the one he threw to Evans on the little comeback where he got dumped. But I did think he re-aggravated it. I was nervous because he got up, flexing his wrist. Then he came, and that shoulder was limp. It was dangling. I'm like, uh-oh. And that was the end of the quarter. So I'm like, then they came back from the commercial break at the end of the 3rd quarter, and they showed a team doctor with his hand inside his collarbone, messing around with him. I'm like, oh, shit, here we go. But luckily enough, he was fine. He was able to come back in the game. But anyway, I digress. This is a devastating loss for the Buccaneers. Devastating loss. Because, again, for the 2nd consecutive week in a row, you lost to a sub-500 team at home. That's the bitter pill to swallow. It's not that you just lost to a team in the division that was sub-500, because shit happens all the time. But you did it at home. It's one thing to go to New Orleans and the Saints just get you at the crib. Shit happens. It's one thing to go to the A, they swag surfing on you, and they get you at home. Okay. All right. Bro, you had 2 straight back-to-back games at home. You did the heavy lifting earlier in the season, going to New Orleans before your bye week. In week 1, beating the Atlanta Falcons in a really tough ball game, pulling it out at the end with a field goal. You did the heavy lifting on the road already just to come back home and lay an egg twice. You don't want to make the playoffs. You don't want to win the division. You ain't serious. Can't be. Who, me? Yeah, you. Couldn't be. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to the skill game. Brought to you by Sleeper.
The skill game brought to you by Sleeper.
Sleeper is a fantasy sports and real money gaming app that focuses on bringing people together through sports and gaming. I am one of the 10 million active users on Sleeper, and hopefully you are as well. If not, here's an opportunity for you to become one by simply clicking the link in the description of this video. That will take you to where you can download the app. Make sure Sleeper is available in your area. It's available in over 30 states in the U.S. Once you verify that you are who you say you are, they're going to give you $20 free for becoming a member of the Sleeper family. But that's not all. You can use my promo code LTN to get you 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. That's right, dollar for dollar match. I always say you get to do it once, so max it out. Put in $100, let them match the $100, give you an additional $100 to spend on the app. That's $200. Then the $20 that they gave you for becoming a member of the family, that's $220. You can get active with $220. So let's talk about tonight. Man, I had so many opportunities to win some money tonight, and the Bucs just screwed me over, man. Just big time. The Falcons checked every box I needed. That for the longest time, they didn't want to give Tyler Algier that second carry, right? All he needed was 5 yards. They didn't want to give it to him. So finally, they put him back in the game, and they gave him a carry, and he ripped off like a 12, 15-yard run. I said, thank you. They did everything I needed. It was the Buccaneers who screwed me. They started the night screwing me with the decision to take. Let's look at what we did. Let's look at what we put together first and foremost. Let's look at what we put together. So this is what we put together as a team. I thought this was ironclad. I thought we killed it tonight. All right. I just thought for sure we're going to win. We did it. We did it, Mom. We did it. Kyle Pitts, 59.5 yards. They gave us a multiplier boost of ×2. So that was awesome. We had Zane Gonzalez for 2 field goals. We had Rashard White. Now, had I just taken the 18 yards rushing, which that was my first inclination, but I was like, what if they do this shit that they did tonight, which is not give him enough carries? Because I didn't expect him to rip off a 20-yard run. I'm not going to sit here and act like that's what I thought was. I thought he was going to get like 7 carries tonight. All right, which I was like, if he gets 5 to 7 carries, he's going to catch it once or twice out of the backfield. He's going to get, what was the number? 30.5 yards. He's going to get 30.5 yards, 31 yards. The man ripped off a 20-yard run in the first quarter. I'm like, oh, shit, we got this in. Just throw it in the bag. Just throw it in the bag. But then the Bucs decided they were going to sell me tonight. They took the Zane Gonzalez field goal off the board, which was like, to me, that was the hardest thing that we were going to have to get tonight, was the 2 Zane Gonzalez field goals. Because you just never know where a coach's mind is. They get into those 4th and short situations, and they decide, to hell with the field goal, let's go for it. So Raheem is more of a old school type of mentality coach, where I'm going to take the points, which I don't have a problem with. Too many of these damn coaches in today's NFL act as if field goals don't count. Like, you can't win a game, taking points. Got to go for it on 4th down. F analytics sometimes. It's all about the analytics shit almost got Atlanta beat. I'm not a big fan of we're down 14, we score a touchdown, let's go for 2. I'm not a fan of that shit. Kick the extra point, right? If you want to go for 2, do the shit later in the game. That's my mindset. Because let's say the dynamics of the game shift, right? And you're not in a position where you feel like going for 2 is the right move. You can kick the extra point and go to overtime, right? Let's say that you get to the end of the game and you're like, bro, I don't want overtime. Let's go for it right now. You still have that choice to do it. But if you go for it too and you don't get it, which is what Atlanta did, now you have to go for two to tie the game up. It almost backfired and kicked them right in their damn ass. I hate when teams do that, but that's that analytics shit. That's the world we live in now. Go for two. If you get it now, a touchdown wins you the game. But they never talk about the shit because all they say is, well, if you don't get it, now you know you need 2 points on the touchdown. You need 2-point conversion. Well, that's bullshit. I can't win the game now. I have no chance of winning the game. I liken it to if you're down 2 scores, right? Like if you're down 10, you need a field goal. So you can't bypass the field goal. If you got a chance to kick the field goal because you still need 2 scores, right? I liken it to that. Give yourself a chance to stay in the game. You know what I mean? Give yourself a chance to stay in the game. So I hate that. I hate that rationale. But when they didn't keep Bucky Irvin in the game, I was like, uh-oh. Bucky's going to have to break something from like the 12 or the 15-yard line because they definitely trying to screw your boy. Like, they had it out for me tonight. I had a target on my back. They really was like, Louie T, you ain't hitting shit tonight, bro. And I'm going to make sure of it. And they went out of their way. They went out of their way. Jalen McMillan gets stopped at the 6-inch line. That's an easy Bucky Irvin touchdown, bro. Bucky been in the whole game. We ain't seen Sean Tucker yet. 44 get in there and steal a touchdown, bro. Out of here with that bullshit, man. And they proceeded to do that every single time. They turned him into Zach Charbonnet tonight. An absolute touchdown merchant. Thievery. They said, we're going to take this Zane Gonzalez field goal off the board. We ain't putting Bucky Irvin in a position to score at all. We're not giving Rachaad White another touch on the ground. So don't look for them 5 yards you need. Matter of fact, your little 30.5 rush receiving combo, we shitting on that. The man had 20 yards in the first quarter. They shitted on it. He didn't get another carry the rest of the game, and they threw him a little bitch-ass screen that only went for 6 yards. Whole shit. And then, to make matters worse, to top it off, all I needed was a Mike Evans 7th reception. And I would have won $500. 2 separate bets. One for 90, another one for 420. I would have won, I'd have won 600. One for 528, the other for 90. 88, but 90, round it up. Mike Evans, 1 catch. That's it. Everything else hit. And Bake couldn't give me my 1 catch. Threw the interception. That was targeting Mike Evans, by the way. And then never went back to him the rest of the game. I needed Godwin, and I knew he was going to hit Godwin on the 3rd down because that's the 3rd down specialist. So he hit him on that first 3rd down. I was like, okay, check. That also got Baker over the 240, I think it was 250 mark or something like that I needed him to hit. So that was necessary at that time. And I just needed one more Mike Evans catch. But of course they weren't going to do that for me. Not tonight. Don't worry. You will lose to a game winner. A game winner. I put the hex on their ass. Don't you worry. And so no Bucky Irvin anytime touchdown because the Bucs refused to put him on the field in that situation. They told me Rachaad White won't touch the football but 2 times tonight. Okay, got me there. And they took the Zane Gonzalez field goal off the scoreboard with a stupid-ass penalty by Zion McCollum. And I ended up 1 field goal short there. So the Bucs screwed us tonight. I hope you're happy, but don't worry. I got the last laugh. I'm laughing at you. I'm laughing at you now. Got your ass. Anyway, as I always tell y'all, after another loss, the streak continues. We'll get them next time. The last 2 tickets we put together. Man, we've been robbed. We've been robbed. Anyway, that's the skill game brought to you by Sleeper.
The skill game brought to you by Sleeper.
All right, let's get to the comment section real quick, and then we'll get out of here. Video channel. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Video channel writes, Lou! What's up, video channel? Atlanta and Tampa Bay with so many weapons on both sides of the ball. Extremely jealous. Atlanta more so. Tampa Bay more so than Atlanta. Like Atlanta, I'm not jealous of Atlanta's weapons. You know, Drake London is really good. So is Kyle Pitts. Mooney is solid. I've always liked Darnell Mooney, but he's a liability too. I'm not over here upset because they got David Sills the 5th at receiver. Like Bijan, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London is a hell of a 3-headed monster, right? Hell of a triplets, if you will. And then Algier obviously helps. Like they got talent, no doubt about it. It's just I'm not drooling over their talent. Tampa Bay, though. Tampa Bay is loaded. They're loaded. Tez Johnson would be the 3rd best receiver on our team, maybe the 2nd best receiver on our team right now. Tez Johnson, a guy that is seldomly used in Tampa Bay and is their 5th option. He is no worse than wide receiver 3 in Washington right now. That's their 5th option that had no catches tonight. Meanwhile, they have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Emeka Egbuka, and Jalen McMillan, who just played in his first game this season, coming back from injury. Those are your first 4 receivers. Who's deeper in the league than that? Their number 1 tight end, Cade Otton, was out tonight. Like they're loaded. And then you got Bucky Irvin, who can catch it out of the backfield as well as run it. And you got Rashad White. So that's a nice little. And then they love Sean Tucker. Clearly, they love Sean Mother effing Tucker as well. The 3rd running back. Tampa is loaded, but we knew that. We knew that. Swaggy P, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Swaggy P, says, look at Zane breaking the hearts of the Bucs again. Zane, same hash mark, same uprights, same side of the field, if I'm not mistaken. Same end zone. Zane Gonzalez, everybody. They've seen enough of Zane Gonzalez the last 2 years. Shout out to Zane, man. Zane hit him with the comb over a couple times. Swap up, swap up. Helmet on. Let me take the helmet off. Swap up, swap up. Put the helmet back on. Hell yeah, Zane. Shout out to our guy, Zane, who's still doing it, man. Good call on that. Zane got him again. He did it again. Shout out to Zane, man. That's a heartbreaker. That is a heartbreaker. You got the best of me. Good for them, though. When I saw how this shit was going, I made it my business to make sure that they lost. I said, when Baker got sacked on that 3rd down, I said, hell yeah. Now you finna lose this game. I got your ass now. When it was 3rd and 28, I was like, shit. Then I started cussing Kirk Cousins out. Then Kirk was like, hold on. I got one more trick in my back pocket, man. One more trick up my sleeve. Chill. So, like I said, Kirk came back and totally redeemed himself, man. So, I'm so glad that the Buccaneers choked this one away. You don't want to give me my dub, you don't get one neither. Nobody wins. Nobody wins. When the family feuds, nobody wins. Nobody wins. It didn't have to be this way. We all could have ate. Everybody eat, B. Everybody could have ate tonight. But you decided otherwise. So, for that, I say, God bless. Good night. Had to reach out and touch you. I hate that I had to do it. Don't make me do it to you, Dunny, because I'll overdo it. I'll overdo it. Anyway, that is going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Thursday Night Football Overtime. We've had some really entertaining Thursday night games this year. I'm just telling y'all right now, for those of you in winners and losers, those of you who pick winners this year, this is going to be a crazy week. Most of us just took an L tonight. I know I'm starting off the week 0-1 with this loss. I don't think many people picked Atlanta to win. I'm pretty sure a couple people did as an upset. This week is going to be funky. A lot of evenly matched teams playing one another. A lot of bad teams playing one another. A lot of good teams playing one another. A lot of games that could go either way, just like this one. Family members playing against each other. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if Cleveland beat Chicago. I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be shocked. Shador gained a lot of confidence last week. That defense is the kind of defense that would give Caleb Williams fits. I wouldn't be shocked. You got Detroit and LA. LA should win, but you just never know, right? Green Bay, Denver. Like, there's some good games this week. Like, seriously, some really good games that could go either way. Baltimore's playing Cincinnati again. Cincinnati just smacked those boys on Thanksgiving night. Just smacked them boys just a couple weeks ago. Ravens could easily lose again. It's a lot of games this weekend that are really, really interesting. Really interesting. So this was the first of a lot of games that could go in any direction. Carolina could easily lose to New Orleans again. Like, they already lost to New Orleans earlier this season at home. They could easily lose. I don't think they're going to lose this one, but they could. We know Giants and Commanders, the Tank Bowl, that is as nasty as it gets. Somebody going to win that game, though. Chargers and Chiefs, that's tough. It's going to be a lot of really close games, and they can go either way. Somebody losing 10 games this week. Somebody losing 10 games this week. We're going to find out a lot about who's serious and who's not. Who are the contenders and who are the pretenders? Who are real playoff participants and who is just taking up space? We're going to find out this week. If Baltimore is serious, you got to stand up and say you serious this week. You got to stand up and say you serious this week. If you're serious about winning the division, Carolina, here's your opportunity. Seize it. Pittsburgh, you can't lose to Miami at the crib. That's going to be a nasty Monday night game. I'm not looking forward to it. But the Steelers, they're not like that. So they're going to make that game probably way more interesting than it needs to be. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Thursday Night Football Overtime. What a thriller. Falcons climb out of a 14-point deficit in the fourth quarter to shock the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 29-28, knocking the Bucs from the mantle of first place in the NFC South. At 7-7 now, the Bucs do still have a great opportunity to win this division. They play the Carolina Panthers twice in the next 2 weeks, or twice in the next 3 weeks, excuse me. So they can settle this themselves. But they've put themselves in a position now where there's a very small margin for error. They would have had a little bit more margin of error. They could have lost to Carolina, not had an issue with it, just come back, beat them and say, they lose this first game to Carolina, all the pressure's on them, and they're going to need help. They're going to have to win out, and they're going to need help. Assuming Carolina takes care of New Orleans this week. They lose that first game to Carolina. And then Carolina will have a 2-game lead, assuming they win again. Assuming they win. They'll have a 2-game lead going into the final 2 games. They'll have to win out, which means they'll have to beat Carolina in Week 18, and they'll need Carolina to lose to Seattle as well. So they'll need help. Then they will have no margin for error. So tonight was big. Tonight was big. We'll see what happens. Daily Grinders 89. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Lou, Kyle Pitts. Hint, hint. I already brought him up, but I'm telling you, it's performances like tonight that won't allow him to get to free agency, bro. I talked about this earlier in the show, but it's performances like this that tell Atlanta, we got to franchise tag him, right? We can't let him leave. I was hoping, because I felt like he was a little bit disappointing this year. He was solid, but you know, he's been coming on of late. Since the injury, the worst thing that happened to Kyle Pitts from a outsider wanting a chance at signing him in free agency, the worst thing that happened was the worst 2 things that happened was Michael Penix Jr. going down, but more importantly, Drake London being injured. Because effectively what it has done is it's made him the go-to primary target at the receiver position. Kirk Cousins looks for Pitts. So I don't think Penix Jr. really did. So, like, I think his last 3 games are the 3 biggest games he's had this season. I don't want to lie to you. Let me double check that. Kyle Pitts is last 3 games. I said it correctly. Before the injury to Drake London, his best game this season, of course, was against the Commanders. Of course it was. 70 yards. And that was his only touchdown of the season. Of course it was against the Commanders. Of course it was. Why wouldn't it be? But since the Drake London injury, 7 catches, 82 yards against the Jets, 6 catches, 90 yards last week against Seattle, and this week, 11 catches, 166 yards, and 3 tutties. You start putting up numbers like that, and it's going to make Atlanta rethink them letting him walk. He was walking before this stretch. They were going to let him go. They weren't going to pay him. Now I think they're going to pay him. So this stinks, because I wanted a shot. I don't think we were going to get him anyway. I don't think they're looking to upgrade the tight end position. We feel like it feels like we're really going to bitch up at tight end. Like they're really going to try to sell us on Ben Sinnott and Colson Yankoff and the kid that got injured and is on our practice squad that we put on IR, the former quarterback turned tight end. Like, I really think they gonna skimp the tight end position. They ain't trying to spend no real cheese at tight end. So anyway, I digress. It was nice to dream about it, but he ain't getting a free agency, I don't think. Anyway, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll see you guys tomorrow. What a game. That was fun. You guys enjoy your night, and we'll reconvene tomorrow. Talk Commanders. Do we have to? Yeah, we do. I'll see you then. Peace.